I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the book of Galatians, chapter 3. Let's focus on verses 24 through 26. The law, then, was our guardian until the Messiah, so that we could be justified by faith. But since that faith has come, we are no longer under a guardian, for you are all sons of God through faith in the Messiah, Jesus. For as many as have been immersed into the Messiah have put on the Messiah. There is no Jew or Greek, slave or free, male or female, for you are all one in the Messiah, Jesus. And if you are the Messiah's, then you are Abraham's seed, heirs according to his promise. Now, this particular passage has been somewhat controversial among believers, especially Messianic Jewish believers. Now, some theologians have suggested that Paul was declaring that Jews who believe in Jesus as the Messiah, well, that they're no longer Jews. Others have suggested that Paul, with his mention of the universal inclusion of all believers into God's promise to Abraham, well, they say, well, when Paul said that, he was declaring that Gentile believers have now become Jews. Thus, they are assigned Judaism to Christians. Neither of these assumptions are true, nor are those assumptions remotely close to what Paul was trying to say. To understand the essence of Paul's comments, one must consider the types of people that Paul is addressing in his letter to the Galatians. First, there were non-Messianic Jews, Jews who did not believe in Jesus. They were taught that they must follow a legalistic religion that Judaism had become. And this religious form had, and still has in many respects, reinterpreted the Torah so that a faithful relationship with God has been diminished to a performance-based list of impossible rules. Secondly, you had in the church Torah-observant Messianic Jews. These are Jews who believe in Jesus and they follow the Torah of Moses. They believe that salvation came by way of faith apart from works. And while they departed from the man-made aspects of rabbinic Judaism, they did not depart from observing the Torah. This group would have included all of the apostles as well as the true Jewish believers. And then thirdly, Paul was addressing a legalistic, what he called circumcision sect. Paul says that they were a faction of James's congregation, and they called themselves believers and they claimed greater apostolic authority, even more than Paul and the other apostles, because of their ultra-religious adherence to the man-made rules of non-Messianic Judaism. Now, Paul mocked them. He called them Judaizers, denying that they were even believers at all, because anything other than salvation by grace through faith falls short of true salvation. And then lastly, there was a divided group of confused Gentiles who were from Galatia. Some of them were following Paul's preaching, while others were being swayed by this impressive but unbiblical disciplined lifestyle of the Judaizers. And while the devoutness of the modern Orthodox Jew is impressive, all of that discipline, apart from Jesus' grace and the Holy Spirit's leading, is in vain. Paul's message to the Galatians was simple. As pertains to salvation, God does not elevate any people group, any economic condition, or gender above another. Men and women can believe, poor and rich can believe, Jews and Gentiles can believe. All believers are heirs to God's promise to Abraham, who was himself considered righteous by faith in God alone, apart from the works of the Torah, which didn't even exist in the days of Abraham. And that being a Hebrew means being part of a distinct ethnic people group. So to this day, there are Jewish and Gentile believers. Often they are separate in their cultures and forms of worship, and yet they are one in the Messiah's grip and grace. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.